criminal law. And I'm going to introduce already now, while he is coming, Mr. Irakli Beridze. He will be the first speaker. So you have to go to another, I'm sorry. You are the head of the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics in UNICRI. This is the UN Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute. You will present the report Artificial Intelligence and Robotics for Law Enforcement. And maybe let me introduce you a little bit further. Since 2014, Mr. Beridze initiated the first UN program on artificial intelligence and robotics and had the creation of the UN Center on Artificial Intelligence and Robotics with the objective to enhance understanding of the risk-benefit duality of artificial intelligence, exactly finding the balance, through improved coordination, knowledge collection and dissemination, awareness raising and global outreach activities. You have a 20 years experience of complex multilateral negotiations with governments, UN agencies, international organizations, think tanks, foundations, academia and business. So I think very rightly placed to present your report and your findings. So you have the floor, Mr. Beridze.
Do we have
Is that fine?
I think he's bringing a clicker, but let's don't start the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm really honored and happy to be testifying here before you, dear members of the European Parliament, and ladies and gentlemen and committee members. And allow me a couple of, maybe a minute or so extra, because since I'm first presenter here, I'll have a couple of general slides as well. But I will try to fit into the topic. We don't have a universal definition of artificial intelligence yet. UN has not adopted a definition, but something of that sort will be sort of very appropriate. AI is a computer systems capable of performing tasks normally requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and problem-solving. What happened in recent years and why now everybody is discussing artificial intelligence and its correlation with different topics, in this case, law enforcement and crime. What happened was that we, in recent years, collected enormous amount of data. We have a data abundance. We developed advanced algorithms, and we have very high speed of computational powers. And why now? Because of these three forces, we achieved many results. And on top of that, a lot of money have been invested, a lot of funds have been invested in bringing results with AI systems. And if you look at the market projections by 2025, and this is very conservative estimates, we will have market of AI around 500 billion, some people estimating it up to 10 or 15 trillion as well. And this is an exponential growth. At the United Nations, UN and UN Secretary General is taking issue of artificial intelligence extremely serious. And in one of his statements, he called the artificial intelligence a game changer that can boost development and transform lives in spectacular fashion. But it may also have a dramatic impact on labor markets and indeed on global security and the very fabric of our societies. Here are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030, very ambitious 17 goals with 169 targets and 230 indicators. And we have specialized summits at the United Nations where we are examining how AI can complement and support in fulfilling these UN Sustainable Development Goals. And specifically, the goal 16 has direct relation to the issues which we are discussing now. UN has started many different initiatives within its family on AI. UNICRI was one of the first UN agencies which started its program back in 2014, 2015, organizing events and awareness-raising meetings at the UN General Assembly, also workshops, trainings, specific engagements with the countries, and development of specific tools to solve problems. We established a specialized center in The Hague in 2017, and the center is committed to advancing understanding of the challenges and opportunities from crime, justice, and rule of law perspective. And these are the examples of numerous events and organizations we've done. So what are we talking about here? AI, the future of crime. Now, we're talking about three different categories, and some of it have been mentioned already by previous speaker, a number of examples. We categorize it in three different ways. Digital crimes, which includes cyber crimes, but accelerated by the AI systems, which will overwhelm the existing defenses, and it will not get tired, and it will self-learn from its mistakes to penetrate the systems. We're talking about physical crimes, where we are here referring to the combination of, let's say, drones with the AI systems like the face recognition, where you can give a specific face, specific data to a drone to find the target, and this is a whole new level of assassinations, targeted killings, and murders. And the third level and third category is the political crimes. Here we're referring to the deepfakes, which will bring to a whole new level of political disturbances. And we already have some examples. There were some news yesterday how politicians in India, I thought in local elections, already used deepfakes to manipulate the election results and influence people as well. And we will have proliferation of that in coming years as well if we don't find proper solutions to it. It has a flip side of the coin, obviously. It's not all bad, otherwise we could all ban it. It has the beneficial side to it, to the law enforcement. So future of law, on the side of the future of law enforcement, what we have is a number of categories which I will refer it. But first, we started to examine together with Interpol the way how this technology can be used for the law enforcement. Starting from 2018, we started to organize global meetings for AI for law enforcement. 2 were held in 2018 and 19 in Singapore, and 2019 we'll be hosting a global meeting AI for law enforcement in The Hague. And this is a big platform of partnership between the law enforcement agencies all over the world with private sector, academia, and others, and governments as well. We issued the first report, AI for Law Enforcement, in April 2019, and the new report will be coming in coming weeks as well, and you can see that on our website. What are the main domains of the use of AI for the law enforcement? Audio processing, visual processing, resource optimization, and natural language processing. That's what we identified, and these are the domains where law enforcement is already using AI and will be using more and more and become quite efficient in this. And this is a fact, obviously. There are some sample use cases which are already happening. Obviously, facial recognition, and I will not go into the details of the facial recognition. We have a specialized session on that to identify persons of interest in crowded spaces, and this is happening, and this is not happening only in China. It is happening in many different parts of the world and in many different countries. Predictive policing, and we will have session on that as well. Predicting trends in criminality and support police allocate resources. We have other use cases like countering financing of terrorism, identifying illicit financial flows, and AI tools are quite efficient in that. We have use cases on combating human trafficking, analyzing data such as cell phone numbers in, for example, online ads. Also, non-intrusive surveillance, automatically anonymizing citizens in surveillance footages, or detecting phone usage while driving, monitoring traffic to automate fine issuance. And this is recent examples from Australia. So next time you're driving in Australia, please don't use your phones because your AI will be watching you. Now, at the same time, this is a quote by the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations: digital surveillance combined with artificial intelligence can help law enforcement, but can also be used to violate privacy and persecute dissenting voices. And this is very serious and something which we are taking it very seriously as well. Therefore, tapping into the AI responsibility, concerns related to human rights and civil liberties are obviously very real and very serious. It can undermine fundamental principles of law, presumption of innocence, privilege against self-incrimination, proof beyond reasonable doubts, and certainly damage public trust in law enforcement and can create a lot of backlash. AI usage by law enforcement, therefore, must really enshrine the general principles of respect of human rights, justice, democracy, and the rule of law. And it should also take into account the requirements of fairness, accountability, transparency, and explainability. And this is all enshrined in our report, which we issued together with Interpol. At the same time, together with Interpol, we are working on development of a practical toolkit which will support the innovation for the law enforcement agencies. And this will be an operational-oriented toolkit, and we're not talking about here rules, guidelines, or frameworks yet. And this is to support the law enforcement for the best practices. So it will stimulate positive potential to develop, deploy, and use of AI in a responsible manner. It will have a practical, it will practically complement the GDPR and law enforcement directive in the European Union, and we are now in the planning and preparation stage, and any member states who is interested in supporting us in this project or teaming up with us, I'll be happy to discuss it practically with you. At the same time, we are contributing in different manners to the protection of human rights. We have a joint UN project together with UNCHR and UN Office of Counterterrorism. And this project envisages to enhance understanding of how the use of AI for counterterrorism operations can be complemented with human rights. And the project, we already launched it in early 2020, and we'll release the report on this by end of this year. At the same time, AI can be and is used and will be used in the court systems. From our side, we are offering training courses. Last one was in Dubai in October 2019, and we trained 19 countries on difficult topics, and which different topics, which included legal definitions of AI, algorithmic and use and output of bias, attribution and responsibilities, or fundamental rights and freedoms, use cases, and other issues. Now, this is the final. This is the final two slides. Very quickly, within 1 minute, I will wrap it up, and I respect the other speakers certainly. So, what do we expect? This is conclusion. What do we expect? We are expecting increasing spotlight on both national and international level on lawful and trustworthy use of AI, very important. Law enforcement agencies will certainly, within 5 years, mature use of the artificial intelligence tools and applications, which is being tested now. Greater efforts will be put by the law enforcement agencies to build public trust to avoid the backlash. And with proliferation of sensors and growth of data, law enforcement agencies will soon become heavily dependent on artificial intelligence. And I will exemplify here. This is the state of art, what we have right now. In existence of human history, we accumulated right now 45 zettabytes of data by 2020. 45 zettabytes of data means every single word spoken, recorded, digitalized ever by 2 million years of existence of Homo sapiens. By 2025, we will have 175 zettabytes of data recorded to us. This is a lot of data to deal with. As an example, by only 2010, we had only 1 zettabyte. So within 10 years, we will have 175 zettabytes of data. So the question is that how law enforcement agencies will manage 175 zettabytes without support of the AI. Law enforcement agency will be using AI, and our role would be to ensure that they will be using it in a lawful and trustworthy way. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this overview, and you rightly show, actually, we may become more and more depending on AI, and then it's important to have ownership to also decide for ourselves how we should use it, and not that it's taken over by AI. Thank you very much. I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Philippe Amma from